Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Michael ALPOUGH Life, Love and Laughter Show. Today is my 25th show. We've done 25 here. Hold on just a second. Sorry about that. Gotta get that straight. Trying to get this microphone better here. Anyway, today is our 25th show, and this is our evening show here. We already did one at 2 o'clock. Get a chance to take a look at that, put a like on that. We appreciate everybody that's in. And also, we want to welcome the people who will be watching this show later. We know that you're getting off work, you're already eating, and you're doing other things, and you probably go back to Facebook. You know, we do it. You go and you check it. There it is, and take a little time to come into the safe haven. This is what this place is, a safe haven for thought. Okay, there is no judgment here. Nobody is trying to change you. It is about taking the best and leaving the rest. I think that's getting better there. A second. So I really wanted to get my voice a little bit more where I could hear that bass, you know. So this morning we were just talking about the funny things that goes on, how no matter how they are, it's always a spin to try and put us in the middle where we're either confused or wondering like where do we go from here? Where do we go? How are we supposed to think? We were raised to think one thing. Now we're thinking a different thing. And yes, change is good because we all change. And, there needs to be a different thought process. There needs to be a where we're always changing. We should be in flex. I mean, isn't that, though, the way our country has always been? Sometimes it's slower. You don't want things as slow as they move. You wish Congress would move faster, and everything here. But it just leads us in a place. And this is where this CPTSD comes in. Complex of who we are is, you want to say it's post-traumatic stress disorder, but it's complex. And because you probably never heard of it, or if you have, or if you've been discussing problems within yourself, about yourself, to others and wondering why the struggle is there, then this is the place to bring that out. And it's not easy to talk about. My suggestion is to only talk about someone who you trust and who perhaps that understands you, and then maybe also identifies this also in you. Okay. And instead of talking about us as people, we're bombarded by things outside of our control. And it feeds into that by making it more complex. So not only are you trying to raise your kids or keep your job or reinvent yourself, pay your mortgage or wait on your unemployment or wait on what a new job, or you're not getting as much as you used to pay and you still have more bills. Instead of, figuring out, for us, it makes us more confused. Okay. And whether or not you feel like that you're in that state, you have to be thinking out loud in a lot of these things. Okay. So it's easy to blame someone for it. Okay. Now, we all have our own life to live. We all came into a life that we were born into. And, there's the saying, you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family, and you can't choose the problems that are passed on. And some other places will say the sins of the father pass on to the son. Okay, it's in the genes. Well, it's in the actions from living. And so by the time you get on the scene, your parents have had some experience. And no matter how old someone is, especially if they're in their teens or 20s, it's very difficult to say that you can make all decisions in life. Okay. So there's 1 through 18, from the time you're born to you're 18 years old, you're told what to do. And so you live the pre-adult life. Now you are born into, or you age into adulthood. And so that's where you begin really, when you gotta have to go back and look at it. You have between 18 and 19, you have 1 adult year. And so on. 2 adult years, 3 adult years. You're 28, you got 10 adult years. 38, you got 20. Right? 48, you got 30. Now I'm at 58, 40. So I'm on my, I'll be close to, whoa, I don't even want to say, a lot of years of adult years. Adult years mean more than childhood years. And the expectation is much higher. And think about a decision you made when you're 18, and would you make that same decision right now if you had more experience? See, sometimes some things matter, some things don't. I mean, maybe if I had it all over to do again, I would have never moved to Los Angeles with $150 in my pocket in 1977. But because I was young and didn't have a care in the world except about me, I wasn't married, wasn't going to school. So, what the hey? Would I have done it now at $150, or would I move that? No. When I moved back to California, I still needed to have more than $150 on me. Okay, so I learned when I moved when I was 50. So I went from 20, then I moved back. Okay, so I'm 21 the first time I moved to California. The second time I moved, I'm 50. Totally different world, right? Totally different age. My heavens. Gas was 60, 70. I knew it was way under $1 back then. But when I moved back to California, it was almost $5 at the time. Now it's gone down, but then it's going back up. People are paying over $4 a gas, $4 a gallon. So when everybody is not going to get CPTSD. They're going to put it in the category of the military. And so because it's a fairly new term, and it's since the last 4 or 5 years, it hasn't made its way because it's been covered up with everything else going on. Everybody was concerned, what's Trump saying today, and how do we get rid of him over the last 4 or 5 years? Everything's about things that are outside of our control, and still are. We had no control over the virus. We have no control over the vaccines. And now the pressure is on to take the vaccine or not take the vaccine. And so, again, what everybody has their decisions to make, okay, on whether or not they should or should not. Now, things are spiking up. CPTSD is going to be rampant. It already is. I just heard the Washington, D.C. jail has been on lockdown for 400 days, 23 hours in their cell by themselves, and 1 hour outside, just to get outside. And these are people who haven't been convicted also, who are on minor charges. Some haven't been able to go to court. So you talk about CPTSD kicking in on steroids. That's a place that's just a perfect recipe. Now you take all of us, and we've been locked up. We've been on quarantine. You only go out for, you can go out now. Don't get me wrong, but now, where's the suspicion? If you're younger, you're older, or you're meeting, should you just go out? Well, yeah, you have to always be careful of them now. Safe than sorry, So, everybody is not going to get your CPTSD. Now, you're being affected by it, whether you know it or not. You don't have to admit that you have it, and you can still have it. Okay, this isn't a vaccine that when you get sick, the virus, when you get sick, it's obvious you're sick. You're coughing, lack of breath, these kind of things. It's obvious. CPTSD is the hidden killer. So this is why this is a safe haven here, so that we can talk, and then whether or not it triggers you to go study it, that's the most important thing. Now, one thing really is, it is on the inside of you. And so it's really you who has to actually do it. And so you don't want to be talking to a lot of people about this. Okay. This is from my, from some of the experts that I've listened to, that what it's going to do is just going to get people turned off. And so from what I understand is, instead of talking about it, because it is very stressful, it's negative, okay, is to write about it. Write about your feelings. I have rarely, if at all, talked about this because of the stress that it causes everyone, and how are they supposed to respond? Because some people just don't have the answers. They don't have the answers that you were traumatized by your family. Okay. They don't have the answers. So part of that has to do with you. But now people will. Everyone loves to give free advice, don't they? Everybody loves to tell you what to do. Isn't it? You can find the people that just love to critique you, right? You got a lot of people out there that really like to do that. They feel that it's their calling. They have to tell you everything wrong with you. But you can't tell them what's wrong with them, when it's more obvious how they're telling you that they're actually talking about really themselves, and that they don't want to talk about themselves. They want to talk about you. It just makes them feel just a little bit better because they can put you down. All right. Now, for those, I say, listen to them. Listen to them, because what it'll do is it'll build you up, and you might learn something. So what's the old saying? Take the best and leave the rest. And that might mean just leaving them too. So that is really the main thing here. So I say, so years ago, so I'm going to give you an exercise on where I first figured out my trauma. All right. So I saw a Christian counselor in the 80s. Steve was his name. And he was pretty good. I only saw him a couple times. Maybe 6. I don't know. But it was on one of them last ones where he did an exercise with me where I think I'm in my late 20s. Yeah. Couldn't be more than 30. So he makes you lay down on the couch, and then he makes you go back and look back to see when you first felt trauma. So we go all the way back, 5 further, 4, I'm going further, 3, he goes, I'm going no, further back, it goes 2, I'm going no, further back, he goes 1, I'm going no, further back, and he said, in the womb. That's when you first felt your trauma? I said, yeah. I felt trauma. I felt like my mother told me I was a real quiet baby. I called my mother. She was honest with me. I asked her what was going on. She had just had my other brother spoiled him. And the next thing you know, the first time my mom and dad, after the 90 days, they had sex, she got pregnant with me. So they didn't even know if they wanted to be together. So it was very traumatic. I was very quiet. And that was really the first time I've ever felt trauma. So I knew it. But what it did was it freed me. I loved my mom and dad more than ever then, because then it was time for me to grow up and realize they didn't know everything and that they were in trauma. They had trauma too. And it was all right. They were scared to have another child. They weren't even ready. They were living in a little apartment. Well, what ended up happening is we got a house. So got a house. They had me. All is good. So there could be that one thing, and I'm not kidding you, one thing that could free you up. Okay. So is it about decisions or choices? Because this is about decisions. Making a decision is not making a choice. Making a decision is final. Signing on the dotted line. Okay? Sign on the dotted line. There's no going back once you make that decision. Go and buy a car, and about 10 days later, come back and go, I don't want this car. You already made that decision 10 days before that. That car is yours. Yeah, but it just depreciated 25%. I didn't even know. Should have done your homework first. Okay. So this, for me, it is about decisions. I can mull over my options, or you can call them choices. I call them options, So, but it comes down to your decisions. Okay. So here we have what's next. Well, let's go by what's the show mean? Whoops. Life equals presence. To be in life means you're present. CPTSD, trauma, the surroundings of what's on the media platform takes us out of presence and puts us into flight or fight. And that's what CPTSD really is about. So being present takes practice. Like listening takes practice. Like loving takes practice. Like living takes practice. Like respect for yourself takes practice. Standing on your own, standing up for yourself, allowing the other person to be themselves as well as you be yourself takes practice. If you notice my background, here's a brick wall. Because either we're going to work it out within ourselves or we're going to build this wall up so that nobody can get in and nobody can get out. Presence. What's the thing that makes it go? Love. Love equals spirit. Your spirit is made of love, right? Love is spirit. It's the result of both. Spirit is love, and love is spirit. That little part in you that's in here, that's right here, okay? Connect with your love, your spirit, by being present, by having presence, the moment of the presence. Simple. Simple. Life is simple. It's when we have technical difficulties that it gets messed up. And that's why we're like in this bowl, or now I'm calling it, we're like in the Roman Colosseum and we're all the crowd. And whether or not it's the lions or each other, it's the challenge. They want us fighting amongst each other. They don't want us to love. They don't want us to be in spirit. Okay? This is what our surroundings are. Spirit always tells me, Michael, know your surroundings. Know your surroundings. I don't walk into any place without knowing the surroundings. Who's in there? I'm going to always take a walk, even if I go into a restaurant. Now, where you're seeing there's mass shootings, you're seeing there's mass killings. Single people walking in and killing people. There was a guy who walked into that Federal Express, killed 8 people. They found out he was a 19-year-old kid who had just worked there. I think he was fired. So he goes in and does this atrocious act. People going in, killing people that they know. I would say to you simply, in the simplest terms, their complex PTSD is way present. Okay? Way present. So do we want to go down that path? We may not go in and be some serial killer, but what are we doing within ourselves? Are we serially killing our insides by not being present? presence is everything. It allows us to love and be connected to our spirit. And then the results of both is laughter. Laughter is the finalization of knowing that your presence and your love is in one state. So we all are in trauma. What has this all taught me how to do is to, when you get older, trauma's, it comes and goes, baby. It comes and goes. First, when you're a kid, you lose someone who's an adult. Then you start growing up and then you have kids, your peers. Some of them died. Then old friends died. Then older relatives die. Then you lose a job. You lose your house. People hurt you. The best thing to be is present so that you can love yourself and still have laughter, even in a day like today. So this is the place that is a safe haven for CPTSD. So as we end here, I'm working on my next comedy show here. I'm actually working on a stand-up show that's coming, and I will be doing stand-up, and I'll have it here live, and it will be, by invite. So you have to click on there to get your reservation here. It'll be fun. It's free. But those are my plans. This stuff gets serious. I have to find how to laugh. Of course, I'm always laughing, but these things are serious subjects. And so they're not easy to talk about. But again, I'm here to talk about what nobody else is talking about and what we can do. Because the main thing is not about political party or religion. It's about we are, as Americans, trying to make it through this pandemic that through no fault of our own, we've been involved in. So when your mind is troubled, fill it with love before your mind gets troubled. That's for you, Dave. Fill it with love. Fill it with love. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. Have a great evening until we meet again.